Hey guys, what's up? Jimmy here with another Lots of Games video. I'm super excited. Today I want to share with you guys a few stories that I had growing up during Christmas time, and of course how, growing up I was all about gaming. I was super excited, especially when it came to Christmas time, because I knew that there was a chance that I'd be able to get something that I really wanted, whether it was a console or games. And I wanted to first and foremost thank a coworker, a guy I used to work with, Dave. He got me, he heard about the fire, how all my consoles and games got taken in the fires of Napa, and he gave me his NES and a bunch of games, which leads into my first story. Now, I was kind of late to the party, actually, when it came to the NES. I had played the NES. My best friend Jason, growing up, I'd go to his house all the time. He was also a huge fan of games, and he had actually a really big library of NES games. So it was about like 2 or 3 years after I was first introduced to the NES when I got my first NES for Christmas. I wasn't though positive if I was going to get it, but sure enough, Christmas morning, there was a large package, and on the system, or on the gift wrap, it had a little note. It said, "For the family." And so I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I open it up, and it was a Nintendo Entertainment System with the Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt pack. And my parents said, "Hey, Jimmy, let you know, this just isn't for you. You have to share it with your sisters." And I was like, okay, yeah, you got it. But, for the longest time, I only had Duck Hunt and Super Mario Brothers. But what got me so excited about getting the system is because I had known about, by the time I got it, I had heard about on how that they were going to eventually be releasing Super Mario Brothers 3, which actually Dave, my coworker, he also gave me a box copy of Super Mario Brothers 3. This is actually one of my favorite games of all time. I absolutely love this game. And so it was so awesome just having that anticipation. I was so thrilled and so excited I got the NES because, of course, I played a little bit of Duck Hunt and I played Super Mario Brothers. Each level I would dissect, play it over and over again, and I would try to unlock its secrets, unlock a new way to play it, because that's really all I had. But I didn't care. I absolutely loved it. And the great thing about that, being a kid, not having a lot of money, you really get a lot of value out of the game that you have. You play the game for hours. You play it over and over again. But in the back of my mind, I had that anticipation and I had that excitement for Super Mario Brothers 3. And this game did not disappoint at all in the least. So leading into my next story I have here, was probably around, I think I was 12 or 13 years old. And it was the school year had just started. And growing up, actually, I was a Boy Scout. And there was this one class I was at one time. Occasionally, the Boy Scouts, the troop that I was in, they would have someone come in that was involved in a profession, and they would teach the boys, they teach the young men what they did for a living, whether they were, a dentist or whether they were a carpenter. And one day there was a guy there, and he gave a presentation, and he was teaching to a group about 10 or 20 Boy Scouts, and he was telling us about how he worked at a computer company. I grew up actually in Silicon Valley. I grew up in San Jose, so lots of computer companies and technology companies. Of course, today you've got big technology companies there, but back then, it was really a big deal. And I learned that he had worked at a company called NEC. And that sounded really familiar. When he was done with his presentation, all the scouts left the room. They wanted to go and play basketball or do whatever. But I stayed and I talked to Dean. I'm like, "Do you work for NEC? That by chance isn't the same company that makes the TurboGrafx 16, is it?" And he said, "Actually, yes, it is. We make the TurboGrafx. That's one of the things we do. We make the TurboGrafx 16." I was super excited because I had seen the TurboGrafx 16 and I had played it at the department stores. And it was not cheap, but it was super exciting because it was kind of like that next level. I had, of course, the NES, but there was that next level of gaming. And upon further inquiry, I learned that I could actually, if I had the means, if I had the money, I'd be able to get it directly from NEC and kind of get like a better deal. I wasn't sure at first at the type of deal I could get. And I actually wasn't even sure if I was going to get it. So about 2 or 3 months before Christmas, I found out about this. Christmas morning rolls along, happens, and on top of the gift wrap box, like a large box, there was a smaller box, basically the size of a CD jewel case. I open it up, and it is a copy of Bonk's Adventure. I was floored. I was super thrilled. I wasn't even sure if I was going to get a TurboGrafx 16. Not only did I get the Bonk's Adventure was the sign that I was getting a TurboGrafx 16 game console also. So after I opened up Bonk's Adventure, I opened up the larger package, which had a TurboGrafx 16 and the pack-in of Keith Courage and Alpha Zones. And again, talk about being a young kid, not having maybe a lot of games, but playing those games over and over again. Not only did I beat Bonk's Adventure, which I love that one. I love Bonk's Adventure. I love the Bonk games. I also even played a lot of Keith Courage and Alpha Zones. I know a lot of people don't like Keith Courage and Alpha Zones, but actually I ended up playing that game over and over again, and I beat it multiple times. But the cool thing about knowing someone who worked at NEC, it wasn't like, you get like a 10 or 20% discount. We actually, I guess I learned that we were able to get like around a 50% discount. We got the system like half off. And any of the games I could ever want, I didn't get a lot of games, but the games we were able to get half off. So like a $40 or $50 game, I'm not trying to remember how much those games were back then, but basically we got them for 50% off, which was pretty awesome, pretty unreal. So that was a really wonderful, wonderful Christmas. So my final story I wanted to share with you also kind of is with that next level of gaming. And it has to do with the Super Nintendo. So, I had the NES, I had the TurboGrafx, and I also had my eye on the Super Nintendo. There were a lot of games on that system, even though at the time they hadn't been out for a really long time. I was super excited to get it. I worked really hard. I did lots of yard work, any odd jobs I could do as a kid, and finally I was able to get a Super Nintendo. So I had it. But I had the Super Mario World, but I didn't have any games. So I got the system in the summertime. The following Christmas, there were a couple games that I wanted, 2 games in particular, and I wasn't sure if I was going to get them. And Christmas morning, we open our gifts, and I'm super thrilled, super excited, because the 2 games that I got for the Super Nintendo was The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, and Mickey's Magical Quest. Now, of course, a lot of you guys are probably already familiar with Zelda on the Super Nintendo, A Link to the Past, but a lot of you might be wondering, Jimmy, why were you excited to get Mickey's Magical Quest? I don't get it. What's the big deal about that? Well, I had, been religiously reading the GamePro magazines and the Electronic Gaming Monthly magazines. And one month in particular, I think it even got Game of the Month, but like 3 reviewers gave it at least like a 9 out of 10. This Mickey Mouse game. And I'm like, what the heck? Why is this game so incredible? I have to get it. So I got, Zelda on the Super Nintendo, and I got Mickey's Magical Quest. Both games were super fun, and both of those games kept me busy for a very, very long time. Of course, The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past is one that I was just spend dozens of hours of exploration and just going around and having fun. But Mickey's Magical Quest was actually a really fun and solid adventure game, action game by Capcom. It's really, really good, and if you guys have the chance to get it, share with you guys. That Christmas was really special because I got 2 incredible Super Nintendo games on Christmas morning. But anyway, guys, just 3 quick stories I wanted to share with you guys about gaming and Christmas. And if you guys have any special stories you want to share with me, leave a comment in the section below. I read all comments, And guys, are you guys excited for, if you guys that celebrate Christmas, what are you hoping to play, or what are you hoping to get this Christmas for those of you guys that celebrate Christmas this month? But as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you take care, and I'll talk to you later.